following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
This week on the Defy Life Podcast, the guys welcome a special guest for a new segment. They talk about the NBA bubble, Dwayne Johnson unleashing his real-life Spencer Strasmore, and as always, they answer a listener question and wrap things up with some trivia. All that and more. Let's get it. Yeah, that's what it is. I guess we gotta do it then. You alright? Check. Pool. Out. Money. West Coast. Let's get it. Strap in, let's take a ride. Oh yeah, it's about that time, right? Been waiting all week to get to this. It's finally time to defy life. Let's chop it up. Keep it trail, no other way. That's what we do. We might disagree, but it's all love. Guarantee we gon' speak the truth. Yeah, this hit different. My guys with me, now who's with us? Stick around for a few minutes. It's contagious. You'll get it. You downloaded the realest. Don't feel us, forget out. You not rocking with Defy Life, then what's your life about? This ain't the Defy Life. Toast. On to the shy life. I'm gonna let this ride out though. Welcome back to the Defy Life Podcast, powered by the Defy Life Podcast Network. This episode is sponsored by Bud Bottles, home of the Bud Bottle and the Bud Freshener. Please visit budbottles.com for your odor eliminating needs. This is episode 167. Y'all come on in, wipe your feet, close your door behind you. I'm your host, J.R. Glint. Joined as always by my wonderful co-host, my cuz. What up, cuz? What up, Al? Alvin Glint.
What's up, homeboy?
Ain't nothing, man.
Coming off that virtual family reunion, so you know, feeling a little. Hey, okay. A quick family reunion joke of the day. So apparently there was a couple of family members who assumed that the family reunion virtually was going to be Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Like that we were following a similar schedule to the in-person reunion. And after I finished laughing, all I could say is like, only my family
would follow up with a second day. Like, yo, where y'all at?
Where y'all at? This ain't enough. Like I'm saying, 3.5 hours was not enough. What's up?
Yo,
I love it.
Right. So first of all, kudos to you and you know your crew, Tanya, everybody.
Yes.
Y'all did that shit right. Like nobody thought it would like be that enjoyable. Because, you know, everybody thought, you know, it's a step down. You can't be in each other's face. So once everybody was there, it was like, yo, this shit is dope.
Right.
Know, to be able to see each other. And for those of us who we haven't met in person, to kind of to break the ice with them and to kind of, you know, hopefully they show up, you know, for the next one in person, to see some faces. Even for the younger generation to kind of make all the connections between the families. So it was good. And it was dope. And I had to jump off a little early because I had to jump on an interview. I had to interview somebody. Okay. So, but yo, it was dope. If it would have been for a second day, I would have been there.
I was down for it too.
Right.
And it's funny because we thought about it. You know, it was like, are we just going to do this Friday or Saturday? You know what? Let's just do it Friday. And, you know, the family's not going to really want to, you know, Zoom call Friday and Saturday. Let's just do it Friday.
Hey, I would have been down for a talent show on Saturday.
Oh, no.
Right.
But again, just real talk. Shout out to the whole family reunion committee because, you know, a lot of great ideas were put together through the committee. You know, a lot of the execution was me and your sister, but that's because we got the resources and technology, and it's just a lot easier to connect me and her and just knock it out. But definitely the committee was right there in step in terms of coming up with that concepts. And then also shout out to your dad because, and this is gonna, you know, people who hear this who know your father might be like, huh? But he actually called me and admitted he was wrong. And a certain, like that I had made a suggestion that he was like, he poo-pooed on initially, like, ain't nobody want to do no virtual family reunion. And then months later, he was like, yo, Al, you remember when you mentioned that virtual family reunion thing? That might be a good idea. I think we need this. And I was like, who the hell is this? This says on the Tommy on my caller ID.
But what's funny is like today, when we talking about the virtual reunion, he mentioned that. So yeah, he not only did he call you and admit he was wrong, he's like admitting that he admitted he was wrong. He was like, yeah, I had to call after we did that call for Thelma. I had to like call Alvin, like, yeah, we might be able to do this. So yeah,
and a lot of times with folk, it's about, especially with technology or new things, you don't know what you don't know, and when you experience it though, you're like, oh, this is what it could be. Okay, yeah, we could do this. I could do this. So, shout out to him for being in that growth mindset, so to speak, and willing to, let's try this something new. And I think to your point, I don't think people really appreciate what you just said, in that some of the new family members that we met who are closely related to us in terms of where they are on our family tree, they represent a whole branch.
Right.
So it ain't just the 3 or 4 people that were there. They really represent like 10, 15 other people potentially who could also be like, wow, So I hope so, because, like I said, these are people who are definitely on our family tree. We've been honoring them by putting them on our family tree for over a decade, so it's nice to actually finally meet them.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, man. So definitely a good.
Right. All that to say, feeling good.
Yeah.
Still on the family reunion high, and so great to be here. It's Tuesday. Let's do it. Defy Life Podcast. What's up?
Damn right. Well, yeah, man. Well, as always, before we get too deep in this, first of all, I'm excited because we got a new segment and a new member of the Defy Life family starting tonight, and start a monthly segment with us. So can't wait for y'all to check this out.
Okay.
But yeah, man. So as always, I want to give a shout out to our patrons. People always ask, what's the best way to support the network? Go to patreon.com/Go Defy Life and become a patron of Defy Life. You can help support our growth, allow us to host events, and continue to work in our communities. For less than your favorite fast food combo, you can support. So go ahead and get that done. Go to patreon.com/Go Defy Life. If you want to check out our written content, check us out at GoDefyLife.com. That's our baby, the original baby. You always got if you want to rock our brand in these streets, you can go to DefyLifeGear.com. We got everything from t-shirts to hats to winter wear. Everything's out there. And if you want to check out where all of our podcasts are hubbed, check us out at DefyLifePods.com. And you can also check us out at iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, Google Play, wherever your favorite podcasts, you check out your favorite podcast. So, so you know where to find us. Al, did I cover everything?
Hit it, son. Hit it well. Good job.
Right. All right. Well, we are awaiting Thomas Stevens. But before I get into Thomas Stevens, I want to get your thoughts on something real quick. We'll jump into a news tidbit while we wait on Thomas and bring on our special guest. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has bought the XFL. The defunct second round of the XFL was up for bid, for sale before they put it up for auction. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and his group, his financial group, bought the XFL for $15 million. So the league can continue hopefully next year. What are your thoughts on that? Is the Dwayne Johnson unleashing his inner Spencer Strasmore and buying a football league?
I guess my first thought was why. I guess it just shows you how much money The Rock got that he can just throw $15 million away. I'm not understanding why you want to invest in the XFL, a sports league now, Like, and maybe because you buying cheap, but it just didn't seem like a wise investment. Then I was just wondering, like, coming out of Vince McMahon, him and his ownership role, and then The Rock being in a wrestler, like, I'm just wondering, like, how extra WWF is it going to look like, or WWE? Or is he going to bring some real extra rules and twist it a little bit? Because now we got Vince McMahon and The Rock's mind working together to come up with some wrestling / NFL sport league. That's kind of where my mind went. But at the end of the day, I am like, for the people that are employed, and the fact that the investment is going to allow those people to continue to work, that's kind of where I actually landed eventually. Like, well, at least it's not going out of business. And, so on that tip, I thought it was a good move.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Anytime we can, create jobs is a good thing. But also a good thing that Vince McMahon won't be involved. Yeah. So,
okay.
He
Never
actually,
really liked him.
Yeah, me neither. But the league, before, he tried to keep the league going to no fault of his own when, the coronavirus, everything hit, they just couldn't sustain, understandably so. So I'm glad somebody stepped in to keep it afloat, and hopefully they can get it, back on when we come to some sense of normalcy. And, I was really on board with how they were running things, not too gimmicky. Still could have stepped it down a little bit, but I think The Rock, Dwayne Johnson and his group will do that. Kind of step it down to more pure football. And then also, we talk about jobs. I think it's a good opportunity to create football jobs for guys who are a step away or a roster spot away from the NFL, especially at those positions like quarterback, when guys need reps to get better. So it's always good when you create more opportunities for repetitions for guys who are that close to being in the NFL. So, or being back in the NFL.
Yeah, true.
So
true that.
So it'll it's a good look. I ain't mad at him.
I mean, at the end of the day, the way I'm starting for sports now, any glimpse of a news that sports is continuing in any form or fashion is a positive to me, because I realized after 4 months without it, like, I miss sports. It's good to be back.
I ain't never watched so much HGTV. I'm so happy. I love HGTV now, but never really watched it before. But I needed sports back in my life. Thomas Stevens has joined us. What's good, Pooh? Maybe he's pump faking us.
My bad. On mute. I was pulling out. What's good, John? How are you?
Oh, man. What's good, man? Welcome to the office.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So we got a couple minutes before we bring on our special guest. So this just getting Al's opinion on Dwayne Johnson buying the XFL, and what are your thoughts really quick on Dwayne Johnson being now, him and his ownership group taking over the XFL?
Man, I haven't even thought much about it. However, I guess they like what they saw. Right. When they went out there and before they were shut down too by COVID, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess it was they think it was a little buzz because people was definitely checking it out because it was football.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
And I guess they figured that it has the potential to grow into something.
True.
So I guess it has it to invest.
Right, and considering that another day in the week, the three of us bring our wives on. We join our wives on a podcast to talk about marriage stuff. The fact that one of his business partners is his ex-wife speaks volumes to how far relationships can go when you think they are doomed. So shout out to Dwayne, and I'd already seen him and his ex-wife on some news special where they are still very, very amicable. They do business together all the time, and he made it a point when he actually filed for divorce and divorced her But one thing he requested from her is that they remain friends. So just because something doesn't work out when you're together doesn't mean you can't work out together. So, so kudos to both of them for putting their egos aside and stepping into a possibly, advantageous business venture. So kudos to both of them. And
that's good shit.
And right, and y'all make sure y'all listen to One I Shut every week, every week on Defy Life Podcast Network. Shameless plug. One I Shut here.
Shameless plug. But that's a good show right there.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're gonna bring out our special guest on. I'm waiting for this one. Been waiting for 2 weeks to get this one launched. So we're gonna bring our special guest on. We'll be right back with you. All right, y'all. We are back at the Defy Life Podcast. Again, this is J.R. Glenf with Thomas Stevens, Alvin Glenf. As I said, we got a special guest on, and again, we have been so anticipatory of this. So, without further ado, we want to welcome Miss Stacey Coleman. We will have a monthly segment with Stacey called "The Psyche of a Single Mother." Dope segment. Stacey, welcome to the show. And how's everything going?
Everything is great. And I want to thank you guys for allowing me to join your show. Just to tell a little bit about myself. As JR has told you, my name is Stacey Coleman. You can follow me on Facebook. I have a Facebook at Stacey Coleman. On Instagram, I actually have 2 Instagrams. I have a Stacey A. Coleman. And that Stacey is STACIE because I'm a little different. And I have a Stacey Coleman on Instagram as well. Just excited to be doing this with you guys. Just being able to talk about, what I do on my page. The real reason that I do it is to get interaction, to see how people think. And let me rewind back to tell you guys a little bit about myself. I'm an educator. And so with me being out of school, I got a lot of time on my hands. I said, let me utilize this time. Let me utilize some of this time to see how people, it's really interesting to see how people think. And a lot of times we have those conversations. I look at the conversations and I look at, this is how one person thinks or this is how another person thinks. But I think what it really all boils down to is that the things that happen or take place in our lives are the things that shape the way that we think. And so it's interesting to see how other people look at things, their take on the different questions that I ask. And how some people get upset and they want to argue or be disrespectful on the post. So,
right. And well, first of all, Stacey, I don't even know. I know you don't know, but both Pooh and Al are both educators. Okay. So I'm y'all gonna gang up on me again, I guess, when I say some dumb shit because I'm the only non-educator out here. I say that to say kudos to you and thank you for everything you do, the way I always thank Pooh and Al, because I could not do your job. I know I couldn't. So shout out to you.
For the record, because I'm giving y'all more props, I ain't around the kids a lot. So it's kind of easy to do what I do, because honestly, I do for the kids on a regular basis. But for those who are, quote unquote, on front line in the trenches, I want to distinguish myself because I have a lot of respect and honor what they do because I do it for them in terms of what I try to do on a daily basis. But I don't do their job. Those people deserve a whole lot more than me.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Well, yeah, Stacey, I absolutely concur. When I check out, every time I see that you got a new question out there, my ears peak up because I'm like, ooh, I ain't trying to participate and get nobody yelling and cussing at me. I just want to sit up in the rafters, like just look down at folks. I want to see who's gonna get mad. I want to see who start yelling and arguing. And even though they know they're gonna be friends tomorrow, I want to see who's gonna get pissed off at each other in the moment. So, So you posed a question today. Can you tell everybody what your question was for today?
My question for today was to the stay-at-home mom or dad. Should the breadwinner give you an allowance, or should you just be satisfied that the bills are paid?
Damn. Yo.
Great question.
That is a good question. Very good question. And it took me about 3 comments down to folks to start throwing blows. You know, and because the other 2 were, I'm just here for the comments.
So I'm curious, what was the consensus? Like, what how did it?
Yes.
It was a mixture. That question didn't get a whole lot of interaction as some of the other questions, because I guess it's one that people are afraid to answer. But you know, one thing that one of the ladies said, I think, was that, you know, being at home, being a stay-at-home mom, doing everything at the house, that she feels like her husband should take care of those other things, those extra things that she wants, like her hair and her nails and stuff, because that in itself is a job. That was a typical answer that I got. I had one guy that came on there. He was just joking. He was like, well, you know, he's going to be able to budget his money because he's going to get that allowance every month.
So what if one thing sticks out to you as far as a question has gotten a whole lot of interaction, and was very polarizing? What would be the one question that jumps out to you?
So that one question that stood out the most was, women without blaming men, why can't you keep a man?
Oh Lord, yo, I ain't never seen so many folks in Newberry fight since a party at the Newberry Armory, and like.
Right.
It felt
I'd be really curious to hear the responses without blaming the man. Like, that eliminates a whole lot of responses.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, a lot of women could not, you know, give me a valid reason why they were single without blaming a man. And the reason why I ask that question is, a lot of times we find ourselves as women in the same type of relationships, and we never go back and evaluate and say, okay, well, what have I done to contribute? Because I keep attracting the same type of guy. So maybe I need to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, what's going on with me? What I need to do differently. And a lot of times we don't. We want to blame that man, or we want to say all men are the same, but we are attracting those same types of men. So at some point we have to, you know, self-evaluate and say, hey, what do I need to do? What do I need to fix on the inside of myself so that I can do something different or see different results?
Right. And as men, you know, because one thing I noticed from the comments, one, it was extremely difficult for women to answer that question without joking. Not many women were willing to like be vulnerable without stating it as a joke, which jokes are sometimes meant, you know, sometimes meant seriously anyway. But one thing stuck out to me, was one, I can't even remember who it was, but it was a female who said, you know, if men would just listen to me and just do what I say, we wouldn't have no problems. So it's those kind of things. It's like, it's totally being facetious. You remember that? Right. But it's, you know, being facetious, things like that, but nobody's willing to step out and be serious most of the time, because then you got to start being real with yourself. And then also on the flip side, as far as men, there were a lot of men out there antagonizing women because, you know, it's a difficult spot to be in for anyone. But I always feel like, you know, whether in a relationship, and when I say in a relationship, I mean when you're in relation with a person. So be that in a marriage, you know, roommates, classmate, whatever it is, however you are in relation to someone, a man is going to do what he's allowed to do in a relationship. You know, so it's difficult to take a man out of that responsibility, because even in that question, men were pushing their boundaries. And we'll push our boundaries even when we ain't supposed to be part of the equation. We'll push our boundaries to see how far we can go, because we're gonna learn how we should treat you, and y'all teach us how to treat you. So that was an interesting dynamic to me. I don't know. So what would be your answer to that question, Stacey?
Well, you would put me on the spot, right? So the question
that's what we do here. I forgot to tell you that part. Yeah, that's what we do.
I'm saying you asked the question.
I really think that, you know, I pretty much already answered that question when I said, you know, a lot of times we don't self-evaluate to see what is it that I need to do different. One of the things that I think women are guilty of is not taking time to heal from one relationship before they jump into another one. And so taking that time to really discover who you are as a woman, the things that you like to do. One thing that I'm really great and I really enjoy doing when we could go out was, doing things for myself. Like, so if it was going to the movies in the middle of the day saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to go to the movies and catch me a movie by myself. Right. Now you're doing things for yourself that when your mate comes along, you're not expecting your mate to do those different things for you. Right. And so, finding value in yourself before you get with a mate. So now you already have that value and you just have someone that's adding to make it better, but not in a sense completing you, because a lot of women look for a mate to complete them.
True. Okay.
Yeah. You said a mouthful.
Man, nice.
The question is why? Why do they look for a man to fulfill them, though?
So I think a lot of that goes back to daddy issues. And a lot of women coming from single parent households. And so they're looking for that in their mate. They're looking for their father that was never there. And so now they're expecting this man to be something that their father wasn't. And it just throws things out of proportion.
God.
I agree.
I do.
Yeah, I would find that you are not a popular person at the at the girl trip. like I don't know. Like I hear you talking, but that don't seem to be the perspective I hear more.
I will tell you, I have a friend, and we get together. And whenever we get together, we always have like a session where she'll give us all paper, and it's guys and girls there, and we'll get together. She'll give us paper. And when she gives us the paper, we all write down a question, and then we all discuss the question. So we never know who asked the question, but we all discuss the question. And they always give me the side eye when I'm like siding with the guys. I'm like, wait a minute, whose side you on? But I think the reason that I'm like that is because I worked in manufacturing for like 10 years, and so I was in the break room, and I heard a lot of the conversations that the guys would have, and I was like, oh, so this is their perspective. So when we have these type of conversations, I not only know the female perspective on it, I know the male perspective a lot of times on it as well.
Right. I mean, I hear you, but I've been working around women all of my professional career, and they done heard my perspective every day, and they just seem to ignore it. So I'm just hearing you like, I don't remember hearing that in the break room, though.
Like, though, they have to be open to what you're saying, and a lot of times women are not open to what you're saying.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Right. Absolutely. And
you always welcome in our
yeah.
You bring in that perspective. Come on in.
Hey, now I can't promise you that Stacey's gonna always be this easy on us.
But the key word was open, though. The key word was open. That's the part that I
absolutely
right.
You're right, and I think anytime, because I think we're in situations here with three dudes who we could always easily slip into a moment where we're biased and it seems like we're ganging up on a female perspective. But I think we do a really good job of staying open-minded and staying away from that slope. One, we got wives and we get stabbed.
and daughter. I got a daughter too.
Right. Yeah, I got a daughter and a mom who listens at times and sisters who listen. So I like living. And I like living indoors. So I try to avoid those. I think we do a pretty good job of that. So again, we're ecstatic to have you join the Defy Life family, and so we can have these conversations, have you on when things get really heavy, when current events are going on, and we need a different perspective here because again, we just three knuckleheads who like talking to each other, and at times we do need these other perspectives. So kudos to you, and thank you so much for joining us and committing to being a part of what we do.
All right, sounds good. Thank you guys for having me again.
Can I just ask, and I hope I didn't miss it, but the name of your page again?
It's Stacey Coleman.
Right. Okay. Yes. And so, and my kind words will not be saying it's time to go because I still got questions for you. So, I asked you if you wanted your segment to have a specific name, and you replied back. And I do apologize. It took me a while to see it. I don't know why I didn't even notice you had replied to me, but I thought it was dope once I saw it. Psyche of a Single Mother. Can you tell me what went into that and what made you settle on that name? Because that says a lot to me.
So, the number one reason why I chose the Psyche of a Single Mother is because I am a single mother, of course. Second, I don't think people really think about the psyche that a single mother has to go through. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times it's hard raising your boys because you're not a man. And so you go through life, and it kind of, a lot of people when they talk about the psyche of a single mother, they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't really have anything to do with relationships, but it really revolves completely around relationships. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times that single mother is a generational thing. So when I say that, I can say I'm a single mother, my mom was a single mother, my grandmother was a single mother. And so you see, you base your relationships off of what you see as you grow up. And on the other side, you have these men who are out here making children and not taking care of them. And so it's hard for the child in a situation to grow up and have a successful relationship because of the things that they've seen growing up. Not to say that it can't happen, but that was the idea around that. The other aspect of that is that a lot of times men say, oh, women are too strong and they're too independent, but that's because of this psyche that they created when they don't have anyone that's there to help them. And so they built up that endurance or that mentality of, you know what, I got to be strong because I'm the only one that my kids have to rely on and to depend on. And it's not that they don't need a man. A lot of them say they don't need a man, which is untrue. But they find themselves in situations or doing things, putting extra strain on their bodies that they otherwise wouldn't do if they had that man. And so now they said, okay, well, I can cut my grass, I can, do this, that, whatnot, or the other. What do I really need a man for? And so it really, that psyche can really mess you up if you're not careful.
Gotcha. Strong black woman syndrome. It no, because as much as we love strong black women, that like anything else is not taken in moderation, can harm you and can lead to negatives in your life, because nobody needs to be that strong. We all need people. And we all need each other. And so when you're absolutely right. Any of us, when you get to a point where you don't think you need anybody, you spot on when you say that's totally untrue. We all need people. I got more questions. Pooh, you got anything? Al, you got anything? 'Cause I'm gonna keep going.
Man, I'm just taking it in right now. I'm enjoying it. I'm just listening to the response and thinking about my response too. What you guys are saying.
Cool. So, Stacey, you said you worked in manufacturing before you went into education, right? And my father always says, man, you ever work in a plant, you better be ready to be ready to like cheat on your wife, because that's all that go on in plants. Folks just cheating and folks just, so did you find that there was a lot of like relationships behind, hidden relationships and people sneaking around, working in manufacturing, working in plants? Because that's, my dad always said that, and I got a little bit of it before I got into what I do now. So, and I did see some of it. So I couldn't tell him he was wrong. Did you see a lot of that as well?
So you see a lot of things. You see a whole entire completely full-blown relationship. There was actually a guy, like, he was with his wife. He was with his work girlfriend more than he was with his wife. Like, they would go to the mall. You would see them at the mall.
Good God.
But there are those instances when there are a lot of people who are not being faithful to their mate. And I guess, not to say that it's okay, because it isn't, but the devil slips in so many different ways. If you're not careful, I'll just put that out there. The devil will slip in if you allow him. So, but yeah, it's a lot of infidelity in implants in those type of jobs.
Lord.
As an educator, you see it in schools too.
Oh wow.
You do see it in schools as well. It's funny you brought that up. You made something come straight to my mind when you said that. But yeah, you see it in schools.
Wow. Well, guess I really couldn't do y'all's jobs. So, Stacey, you also mentioned that you raise men. What are the pros and cons of raising boys as a single mom?
Well, I have a son and a daughter, but
Okay.
it's hard with the boy because you never really have that male perspective. There are things as a woman that I would never be able to teach my son.
And how old is he
never
now?
He's 21.
Yeah, first of all, I feel old, but yeah, go ahead.
So he's 21, and there are things that I look back on now because I had him when I was 19. I'm like, wait a minute, I forgot to have that conversation with him. But the other thing is when it comes to our girls, we kind of groom our girls to be wives, but a lot of times we don't groom our sons to be husbands, if that makes sense.
Wow.
We don't have those conversations with them. Okay, this is, and a lot of the things I try to tell them, this is how you treat your mate. We even had conversations when he was younger about, okay, if a girl approaches you, what type of girl is it that you're looking to be with? And so he got in his mind kind of, the type of woman that he wanted to be with, but there's so many other things that as I look back, I'm like, wow, I should have had that conversation with him, or, I should have sat down with him and talked about this. But I think one of the key things is being able to find a male role model for some of these young men. And when I say a male role model, with the mother understanding, okay, this is not somebody that you're trying to hook up with. They're not interested in you. They're just there for your son because your son's going to need that guidance. And I think that is key.
Yeah, and that man has to understand that as well.
Yes, the man has to understand that as well. Like, look, this is for the betterment of this young man, so that when he grows up, he will have had that example of what a man looks like, how a man carries himself, the things that a man does.
And that's key. I was raised by a single mother. My father died when I was 8. So I think one of the more important things that she did in rearing me was make sure that I was exposed to caring adult males who could offer me the perspective of what it meant to be a black man in this society. And I think my mother could have never done that.
And my son is also a gentle giant. So when I'm having conversations with him about the things that are going on, I have to remind him, like, look, you're big, you're 6'6", you're giant. So immediately, if you're pulled over, there are things that you're going to have to do, but I still don't have the thought process of what would actually be going through his mind as a black man.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I've spoken about this before. When there's that double-edged sword of not only being a black man, but being a big black man in the society, there's this stigma that you walk into a room with, that you almost feel like you have to make people feel comfortable. Not only if it's a room full of white folks, but if it's a room full of people or a room full of women. As a big man and as a big black man, you feel like I have to put people at ease. There's always a sense of making people understand that, hey, I'm intelligent. Making women feel at ease when I'm on an elevator with a woman alone to make her feel comfortable. There's so many things that I'm always aware of. As a big dude and as a big black dude, like, you always aware of. So you mentioned that, and those are conversations that I'm sure he has with himself, that he would have to have with people that not everyone gets. So it's good that you pick up on that. So, and the stigma of, in some cases they're right, but the stigma of thinking that, hey, you big black dude, you must play sports of some kind. Tell me about how good you are at sports. Oh, you don't. What is wrong with you? Oh man, so how old is your daughter, Stacey?
My daughter is 17. They're both seniors, so he graduates from USC this year, and she graduates from Newberry.
Okay.
Congrats to you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And I'm jealous of you and Al. Y'all get them both out. Y'all getting them out the house. Man, I still got years to go.
See, you got that wrong.
Yeah,
they out the house. In a few more years, they're gonna be out my pocket. That's what,
right.
That's the stage I'm about to approach. Them out my pocket.
Man, I can only dream. All right. Well, Stacey, we gonna let you go. We ain't gonna take up your whole night, but again, welcome to the family. We will, not only on this show, but there are 10 other shows on this network who, I'm sure some will hear you and be like, oh, we got to have her on the show. So just be ready for me to reach out to you and say, oh, somebody else wants you on as a guest. And I may think about sharing you with other folks. So we'll see. But thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to growing this thing.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Good night.
Good night.
And on that note, we're going to jump to commercial. Again, that's Stacey Coleman. She will be joining us monthly with Psyche of a Single Mother. Very, very dope. I'm looking forward to it even more now. I'm actually sitting down and speaking with her. But we're gonna jump to commercial, and we'll be right back with you.
Cool.
We're told that greatness is exceptional when it should be expected. You choose every day to live your life intentionally, without apology for how bright your light may shine. So go be great. Go be brilliant. Go be you. Go defy life. The Defy Life movement is one that speaks to each of us in its own way. Defy Life gear speaks to us all by reminding us that one size does not fit all. Visit defylifegear.com to get fitted for greatness.
Welcome back to episode 167 of the Defy Life Podcast. Again, it's JR, Alvin, Thomas. Again, y'all, we just finished chatting with Stacey Coleman. She'll be here monthly, joining us. Psyche of a Single Mother. Al, you first. What are your thoughts? You looking forward to this?
Definitely looking forward to it. Appreciated the initial conversation. Appreciated her perspective, where she's coming from. I think it's a lot of room for growth, and looking forward to some real interesting conversations over over her segment. So yeah, that was real cool. Liked it a lot.
Definitely. Thomas, what are you thinking?
Man, I'm extremely impressed. I just wanted to. I didn't have a lot for her. I just wanted to take a lot in, just to, I guess check her perspective and see where she was coming from. Sounds very, very open-minded, likable, attractive. There has to be bodies in her closet or in her basement or something. Yeah.
Oh. It's gonna get real interesting.
Nah, Stacey, my girl though. Stacey, real good people. But no, man, she seems to be pretty dope, man. Like I said, I can't wait for the segments as well.
No doubt. She just reached out and said thanks again. She really enjoyed it. She's looking forward to coming back. So, awesome. Yes, it's definitely mutual, Stace. Oh man, well, I guess we can stop being reasonable and go back to being a bunch of idiots who can't wait for watch sports. We've been without them for so long, man. So we talked about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson buying the XFL. So I want to. It's a story. I'm not sure a lot of people are familiar with this story, but if you're not, after you hear this, be ready to hear this a lot over the next year. So, University of Minnesota wide receiver, standout receiver, Rashad Bateman, has opted to sit out his this college season, his upcoming season, and he'll spend the entire season prepping for the NFL draft. So the combine, the draft, but he's not going to play this season. I don't think he's gonna be alone in this. He's probably going to be the first of many. Do you guys think this is going to lead to, at least over the next year, however long we're in these uncertain times, but at least over the next year, Do you think this is going to become a common theme of top NFL prospects? Who you first?
It's hard to tell. Maybe it's just hard to tell. It's just hard to tell for me. If I guess contingent upon the season, if they're talking about playing in the spring, of course those guys are going to get out of there because I don't know what type of loophole they're saying, but they're saying if you play it in the spring and it goes into April or something of that nature, that you can't be drafted and things of that nature. Because they were talking about Trevor plays and if they play into the spring and he plays it down in April, I don't even know what that's about. But I guess contingent upon how long the season is, and they're saying that those top guys won't be able to enter the draft, then at that point, I definitely see that becoming a trend.
All right, Al, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking it is just the beginning. I'm not too confident that the season's going to go all the way through, and I think as some of those stoppages happen in their plans, or maybe the season doesn't even start, you're going to see the list just grow. Because again, if this your last year, you're able to be drafted. I think it's real easy to just be like, you know what, I've had a good run, and I'm just going to prepare for the NFL. So yeah, I think it's just the beginning.
My thing is if they're saying, okay, yeah, he's a first round draft pick or a first round hopeful, and I mean you can get out there and play ball and you can streak up the charts like, a la Kyler Murray. You go from maybe being drafted in the second, third round or to the first pick of the draft. That's like you made an additional $38 million. So if you can move up draft boards and command into the the top 15 of the draft, that's light year difference from the 32nd pick of the draft to 14 or 10 or 8. You're gonna get yourself in excess of $25 million guaranteed. If you can get up there in that neighborhood. So I don't know if guys are. That's just tough to turn down if you can get up there in that elite company. I just find it very hard.
But you're seeing people getting infected. I mean, we got NFL players turning down contracts this year.
Right. But they're in there though.
I mean, they in there, but they could have made $15 million this year if they played. And they're saying we opting out. You know what I mean? Like they're turning down the salary. You're right, they in the league, but they could be making a lot more money if they played and they said, you know what, I'm good. Keep your money. Send me some of it because they ain't turning it all down. Send me some of it, and I'm gonna stay home. And I get, some people are still playing and some folks not. I just think there's going to be more and more people who are thinking, is the $10 million worth me getting infected?
Right. I mean, I could definitely see both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like my thought is, in a regular, like normal college football season, guys that come out after their junior year or if it's their senior year, whatever your last year is, talent evaluators and scouts and especially media scouts all use that last year as a way to tear you down. We build you up in your first 2-3 years, and we find that last year to nitpick you to death. I can only imagine with how like abnormal things are going to be this year, for guys who play this season, and let's say they miss 2 games because of the virus, or their best receiver misses 2 games because of the virus. However that is, and they have a down year, it's going to affect their draft stock. So if all the uncertainty that's going on now, if myself or if my son had an opportunity to sit out this season and still maintain his draft stock, and be sure that he's going to stay healthy, I might lean towards that. I might push him towards that. It'd be more like an NBA situation almost, where almost like a one and done type thing. Where he's like, man, why go to college? You can go play in the G League, go overseas for a year, and go make some money while you wait. Whatever that is. But I'm just saying, like, I think in times like this, you got to get creative. And kudos to guys who have that open mind of not being overly loyal to a college program who's going to put them at risk when they don't have a clear plan. They just want to make some money off your jersey.
Right.
So I can't be mad at dudes for saying, hey, look, I'm just going to work out, get ready for the draft, and go run this 4.2 in the 40. And y'all forget I even didn't play this year.
Right, because at that point, if guys out there training, they know they're going to be top whatever this and top whatever that,
right.
They'll go in there, sign endorsement deals. They don't have to worry about colleges beating them up, saying, you know what, you can't play, you're eligible. Now this kid done picked up a 4-year, $16 million endorsement deal, and
right.
So I can know that definitely can be beneficial. Definitely.
Go ahead and get that. You can go ahead and you can get the draft insurance. If something happens, you still get $10 million. So there's always ways that you could say, hey, if this don't work out, or if I tear my my ACL 3 times while I'm getting ready for the draft, I'm still gonna get paid.
Right.
But it's just so much uncertainty that, again, you just got to get creative. And if part of that creativity is, hey, I'm not going to play this year, and I'm going to take this whole year to work on, my skill set and preparing for the draft, hey, that's something I'll have to do. So, again, like we said a couple weeks ago when we mentioned there's a whole lot of sports and history books that are going to have asterisks on 2020.
Oh, yeah.
So, ain't none of this shit going to be routine.
Right. A sports season like we never have seen before. Never before.
Right. So, speaking of shit we never seen before, the NBA bubble. What are y'all thinking about this shit so far, Al? Is it, first of all, it's weird as hell. It seems like you're watching a bunch of AAU games. That's my first thought. But what are your thoughts?
But I enjoy AAU games. So right. I enjoy competition. I miss the fans because it definitely brings an energy in professional sports or any sports. Like the fans are part of the experience. But at the end of the day, it's good to see the competition and see these athletes try to win a championship. And it's not the same, but I think they are doing a great job in terms of producing an experience, a product that fans can enjoy as they build towards the playoffs, which will be even more compelling. And, Pooh was talking last week about, the NFL and not having a bubble and how successful will they be. And I think when you look at the sports who are having a bubble, I just think that's the best strategy if you can't do it. I know it might not be so practical in football and baseball, and I get that. But I'm just saying basketball and hockey, these sports lend for what they are trying to accomplish. And I think ultimately they're going to have the most success in keeping the infections down at the end of the day. So I enjoy it. I think it's interesting to see, it's interesting how they try to mention season characteristics and statistics, but in reality, it's a whole new season, man.
Right.
The people are out of rhythm, out of sync. Also, all that cohesion may or may not be there. Some people are opting out, so you don't even have the same teams. The fitness level of some of the players is different, and then some of the young players have taken opportunity to get better. Right. So I think it's the what happened. It's almost like a whole new season. So I like it. I like it, and looking forward to seeing some of the matchups as we get closer to the playoffs starting. Because I think that especially in the West, I think it's going to get real competitive fighting for that last playoff spot. So, I think it's kind of cool so far.
Okay, cool. Pooh, what are your thoughts? Are your Bulls there or no? I don't know.
I think it's freaking brilliant, man. I think they got it right. Nothing out, nothing in. So I mean, until later, when round 2 of the playoffs, they let them in, and of course they come in and they're quarantined and they're locked into their rooms, just like they did the NBA players. So, man, I think that's the only way. Like I said last week, Al just brought it up. That's the only way. And baseball and football, I don't think they're going to be successful. Not saying they have to be in the same fortress to play football games, but as in the players having outside contact with other folk, other people, going home and going to the grocery store and things like that. Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be successful.
Yeah. I would, if I was them, I would create my own bubble. In the sense of like, yo, as of August 15th, all of us, all employees, we live right here. That's all.
That's it. That's it. I heard. That's what I'm saying. They can't go home.
Right. You can't go home.
Right, and that's what I was thinking. That even though I think it's too late for them to have like their own bubble in one location, I at least think they need to make each team have 32 bubbles.
Right.
As much as you can. Although, there'll be travel involved, and so you will leave at some point. But as much as you can, restrict that movement. Because if they don't, like baseball's already come to a halt.
Correct.
Yeah. And Jay, like you say, 32 bubbles, and they're gonna travel, but those are their pilots. Those are their pilots.
They have teams playing exactly.
Right. So, bro, they can really, really keep it tight to the vest.
Right.
They can really keep it tight to the vest. And after the NBA stated, hey, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, they already gave the outline. So all they should have had to do was chalk out the outline and follow the same thing. That's the only way it will work.
Right. And again, especially it's no way without being in a bubble, there's no way basketball works.
No
without a doubt. No way. And there's no way baseball and football is going to work.
Right.
No.
And so this to me is a microcosm, especially basketball, because it's indoors. And it's physical and it's sweat on sweat. It's so many things that are just. This is a microcosm of why, if we would just listen to the experts and listen to science, why we wouldn't be in the situation we're in. Now, this has no bearing on how serious you think this disease, this sickness is, or how deadly you think it is. It has no bearing on that. I'm just talking about the ability to not get it. That's what I'm talking about at this point. How the NBA is handling this speaks volumes on how much social distancing and quarantining works.
Because it's like one approach is hoping for the best, and that's like the baseball and football approach. We hoping people don't get infected. Right. Another approach, to your point, is using science, best practices, like what makes sense. And what makes sense is if we could get everybody in an area and make sure that nobody got it, guess what? Ain't nobody going to get it.
Right. Exactly. And then that's the thing is and even if somebody's, even if there one or two slip through the cracks, hey, that may happen. NBA hadn't had anybody slip through the cracks. They had no positive tests yet since they've, over the last week.
Hockey didn't have any.
Hockey didn't have any, right? Because they're doing the same thing,
right?
And this is what I'm saying. Like, can you imagine if our government were able to be as stringent as sports leagues are able to be?
Well, some countries have done it.
I'm talking about the U.S. Yeah.
No, I get it. I'm just saying like it's possible. So is my point. It's proof that when it happens, it works. Right. But as opposed to hoping that if people are going to do the right thing and hoping that in the process of people doing the right thing, we don't get infected. But that's not a good strategy.
Right. And being assholes, like, ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. Blah 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 blah, blah government. Blah, blah, blah. Like, shut up. Just put your fucking mask on and stay in the house. Like
For real.
for a couple weeks. Like, dude, like it's
3
dudes out here,
weeks.
right? Whatever a month, however that is, however long that is, just do it. It's dudes out here breathing and sweating and posting each other up for the last 2 weeks, and ain't nobody caught the shit. You know why? Because ain't nobody taking their ass out and doing unnecessary shit, other than Lou Williams. And Jameis Winston will probably do the same shit at some point. But if they don't, but they all come back and get quarantined, is what I'm saying. But
Right.
like if we could just lock it down for 3 months and just get over your individual, we'd be okay. Now, y'all want to debate about how deadly the shit is and whether you think it's, whether the numbers are inflated. Fine, fuck it. All we know is the shit is easy to catch.
Right.
And y'all want to start comparing, how difficult it was for one person versus another and how long somebody. Fine, tell your war story somewhere else. What I'm talking about is your ability to catch the shit would be highly, highly, like, pushed down if we would just listen. So
we could operate in a whole different space with now that we have testing, now that we have things that we didn't have in March and April. But now if we could get it down to a low number, when things popped up, you would know with the testing, right? But now so many people infected, we testing thousands and thousands of people a day. It's just a terrible job by our government, our federal government. Terrible job.
Yeah, terrible. And so bad that now we blaming the tests. Like, if we wouldn't test so many people, we wouldn't have so many positives.
Hey, today our president said,
it is what it is.
they were asking him, he did say that, right? 1,000 people a day, it is what it is. But no, so they were asking him, why is our numbers so bad in relation to other countries? And his response is, well, if you was to take New York and New Jersey out of our data, we would look better. What?
Wow.
So what? So take the two states with the highest numbers, right? You just rule them out like they're not part of our country. And then look at the numbers. Sir, that's not how you do data.
No, I mean, for real though. I mean, if we were to take Emmitt Smith's all of his 100-yard games out of his record books, he wouldn't be the leading rusher in NFL history.
He wouldn't anymore, right?
Right. Like, why we count those games?
I guess if you took Terry Bradshaw's Super Bowls
away
from the Steelers, would they really have the most Super Bowls in NFL history?
Why do we keep those stats? I don't get it. Like, let's just start taking shit away just because it sounds good. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I second that.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, and which leads me right into our listener question for the week. So Blake from Destin, Florida wants to know, Al, I guess Blake is pretty much saying the NFL is not going to have a complete season. His question is, Al, over under on the 2020 NFL season lasting 8 weeks before a stoppage. Are we going to make it to 8 or is it going to be over?
Yeah, right. I'm going before the stoppage. Ooh, stoppage. These owners, man, they want their money. So it's going to take a lot to stop the NFL. So I'm going. Wow. I'm an optimist. I'm going over.
Okay. All right. Pooh, I guess Blake is saying when the NFL shuts down, over under is it gonna be past or before 8 weeks?
Hey, Blake listened to our show last week and he agrees with Pooh.
Right.
he was listening with Pooh like, you right, Pooh. You right. They ain't got no bubble. They shut it down.
Done. Right.
Man, I'm gonna go ahead and go under, man.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna go under. How many games did the Marlins get before 13 of their guys was infected with it?
They played 7 games.
6, 7?
Yeah, 6, 7, something like that. And I mean, I can't argue with you. Unless they're gonna do some shit that we don't know about yet.
Right. The only way, bro, is the like we said, the independent bubble. If they're not doing one gigantic bubble with a complex with 9 fields on it, they have to do 32 different entities, their own bubble. Period.
Right.
Only way.
Now that would be an ill thing, like having some crazy complex where
that would be ill. That would be ill.
where you got 9 football fields. Which, I don't know if they could have constructed it, but I think I guess if you're playing them all outdoors, like how much do you really have to construct? Football is like, you could make them all outdoor fields.
Right.
And we just playing on 9 different outdoor NFL fields, just right here in the parking lot. Like, so yeah, you know what? I mean, maybe we wrong. Maybe they could have did a bubble. Now if we thinking about, because I was thinking like, how can you put 10 stadiums somewhere? But you really don't have to put 10 stadiums. Kind of like the NBA, they didn't put they didn't do
field, right?
Right,
Yeah.
we just need a field. NBA is playing in ballrooms.
All right.
No, they are.
Yeah.
Right. Like, they didn't look for arenas.
Right. And there are like parks and places built for like 7-on-7 leagues and where they have 6-7 fields lined up next to each other.
Right. And I know I had the conversation with Keita. I was like, well, where they gonna have a place like that at, Keita? What are you talking about? She was like, like the Plex. I was like, oh. She was like, they got the turf in there, and I was like, oh, shit, you right.
Right.
Yeah, I stand corrected. You right.
Or like just about any college or pro football like complex,
those those tennis fields and all this. And all
they got practice fields, they got indoor practice fields. Like,
this is $1 billion industry. All you really need is the space and 30
go to
days
Montana,
of time.
right?
Agreed, bro.
Go to Montana and draw up 20 fields, and we good.
I'm saying Jerry Jones is doing the NFL draft in a $30 million boat.
Right.
I'm sorry, yacht. $30 million is not a boat. It's a yacht.
80-inch TV in his yacht.
I'm saying he would just say, give me 30 days. I would have built that out.
Right.
No, you guys are right, though. You guys are right. You're right. They could chop it up and lay down on the turf and voila. Right.
Yeah.
You right. You guys are right. It's definitely gonna be
that stuff that would have had to be done instead of waiting and hoping. Now it's too late because they waited and hoped for so long.
Right.
Which is what rich folks seem to do when shit ain't going right.
But really, is it though? Is it really too late? I mean, because the league is starting in 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
Well, I'll put it.
How long does it take to be building and coming up with the protocols of, especially since the NBA and NHL have the blueprint right here in front of you.
Right there. It's right there. It's right there.
They got the technology, they got the systems,
they got the money.
Like to have one bubble. Only reason I say it's too late is because now teams have started training camp and they've already built out those, like their individual ways that they're going to do things. Their logistics have already been played as far as every team's going to have their training camp at their own stadium. So that's why the only reason I say it's too late, because they've already started canceling. I meant so nothing would be canceled is what I meant. So I'm saying it's too late because we've already canceled preseason. So that's why I'm saying it's too late, because we've already started canceling shit. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, if we're going to take the next month just to solely dedicate getting these dudes on a ranch and they can come to downtown Nebraska. We find some fields for them.
I think at the very least, maybe our idea of moving somewhere, and that might be too late but the saying, bump all that, y'all can't go home no more. We moving everybody over here into the Ritz-Carlton.
That's it.
It ain't too late for that, though.
It ain't too late.
That is true.
Y'all got the weekend to decide if y'all down with playing with us. But if you are playing with us, when you come in on Monday, you testing, and we moving into the Ritz-Carlton. Y'all no more going home.
That's it, bro. That's it. That's the only way, man. If not, under.
3 games by Halloween.
Hey, all it's gonna take is one outbreak, and then they talking about, what are they talking about if there's no they don't have any positive tests in 5 concurrent days. They're gonna start testing every 4 days or something like that. And they say something like that after the first week. So it's something like that. So if they stop testing those, 4 days, the entire team can have it.
Right.
Wow.
The entire team can have it in the next 4 days.
Absolutely.
My question is, why do they have tests that they can tell the same day, and regular folk it take a week?
Well, they started the rapid test now.
Yeah, they got the rapid test.
They had the rapid
I
test,
know someone had the rapid test because they were experiencing symptoms, so they couldn't smell, they couldn't taste, and they was like, you know what, we're about to give you one of these joints, and you'll know in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So of course they know in 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you Joe Small and you be like, I feel great, I just want to know if I have it, then they're gonna be like, oh, okay.
Take that test.
Right.
Get that test out the box for him.
My joint only took 48 hours, and my joint. Carter took one before in March. His only took 48 hours. Then we took another one about 3 weeks ago. So that only took 48 hours as well.
Okay. Wow.
It's torture. It's torture how they do it,
man. Wow. I'm
in
glad
terms of the time or what they do to you for the test.
Bro, what he did to me, like,
they do different shit now?
He was like, yo, throw your head back, and I was like, throw my head back. I threw my head back, and that kid just went for what he knows.
Oh,
Up
God.
your nose?
And he was twitching in it and whatnot. And I was like, yo, get it out of there. Right. I said, get it out of there. Because let's say the joint was from my wrist to the end of my middle finger. That's how long the joint is, right?
Wow.
So it was actually so far up my nose, his fingers.
Get out of here.
Bro, no joke. I'm not. I can send you.
Oh man!
Yeah,
they took my brain now.
That's why I tell. Right, that's why I tell you. It felt like he was tickling my brain when they.
Right.
Well, because that was a lady that did mine. But it felt like she was tickling my brain, and I don't know. If it was like, yeah,
this is crazy. Yeah, I was like, man, so I yelled out, get it out of there. Like you're being funny. Like that's how I felt like prove a point. You know what I'm saying? He want to see me. He want to see me crumble. Want my kids to see me crumble or something.
Try to take you
violated.
Right. Right. You gonna stick that thing on my nose though? Right. Lord no.
Right. I was like, man, you tripping, man. Get it out of there.
Right.
So yeah. Keto was like, man, you crazy. I was like, yeah, he need to get it out of there. He been in them for like 30 seconds.
Wow.
It ain't that much testing in the world.
Right. Oh man. Well, damn. Thank you, Blake, for your question, man. Again, like we always say, we start talking about a whole bunch of other shit for 30 minutes around your question. You asked a good question.
Right.
So, like we always say, we don't know. So we honestly will see. And so all we can say at this point. But anybody like Blake out there who has a question for us, if you just want to get something off your chest, or if you just disagree with something we say, you can hit us up on social media on all platforms at Go Defy Life, or you can email us at info@godefylife.com. So speaking of, go ahead.
Hold on. And feel free to send that question of, is Amari Cooper right that the Dallas Cowboys are going to have 3 wide receivers with 1,000 yards this year?
Oh.
No.
Is Dak still the quarterback?
Dak's still the quarterback.
Nah, because Zeke's still the running back. They ain't having 3 receivers. Nah.
That's what came out of Amari Cooper's mouth. Like, yo, I like this CD Lamb dude, and real talk, we might have 1,000 yards each. I was like,
who's the third?
Say that? Mike Gallup.
Young kid, Gallup.
Oh, Gallup.
Yeah.
I
think they might have had 1,000 each last year.
Yeah,
that's
Gallup?
Yeah,
Gallup had 1,000. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure Gallup had 1,000. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Hey, I'll look it up while we talk.
That's tough.
I mean, I see that because Dak threw for 5 stacks, right?
Right. He had a good year. We didn't win much, but win enough. But he had a good year.
No, he was definitely impressive. That was impressive last year. Like fantasy football, I was like, that boy tripping if you think he about to do something with Dak. And boy, I promise you, he put up 38 to 42 points per game last year. And I was like, man, this is ridiculous. Dak playing ball.
Let's see what he did last year.
I think like 970. He ain't have 1,000, man. That sounds like some key on this, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Nah, you're right. He didn't have 1,000. He had 1107.
Oh wow, 1,100 yards,
1,100, 6 touchdowns, 66 catches.
So can you
in
see
14 games?
Can you see who was third on the team in receiving?
Oh,
I would probably say Zeke.
Oh, I was gonna say Randall Cobb.
I was gonna say Randall Cobb. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Zeke with about 500 yards.
You said Zeke?
Yeah.
Okay, rushing, receiving. Randall, you was right. Randall had 820.
Randall Cobb had 800 yards?
Yeah. Mari Cooper had 1189. So I'm saying that's just 2 great games.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you ready, I mean, it's possible. I guess And I'm thinking if everybody may not get far over 1,000, but just eclipse 1,000, maybe. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that.
Dak threw for 4,900.
Yeah.
Okay. Because McCarthy, he likes to wing it. He's a passing coach. He ain't really
right.
But we still got Zeke though, so we got to make sure he touch it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like
18 carries a game.
I'll take that. I'll take that. Give me 18 a game.
But Zeke won't take that.
He might not, but he might get more yards though. He might have a higher yards per clip. But you're right because we have used him. I ain't gonna say what he like or not. I just say he's got a lot of carries.
Right. He does.
His time in the seat in the
they're right. That probably could extend him. That'll probably take his carries down from about 300 till about 225. Mm-hmm. That'll put more life in his legs.
Right.
Listen, if it leads to more wins, that's what I'm talking about. That's all I want to see. I think more explosive offense would be good for our team. I do say that. I believe that.
But you guys were better though when Zeke was the catalyst and not Dak though, right? Because you let your defense rest. Because you let your defense rest.
Right.
So you ran the ball, pounded 27 times a game. Weren't you guys 12-3 or something like that? Or you guys have a really, really good year?
We had a really good season the season before that. But we can play ball control without necessarily having to run it that much. Because I think the time of possession is a good thing. Keep our defense off the field, keep them fresh. But I would go with more like the short passes and still 18-20 a game for Zeke would be great. I just wouldn't mind seeing. We didn't get CeeDee Lamb just to have him on our roster. Mm-hmm. I want him to be touching the ball 5-6 times a game. That would be great.
Okay. What's your take on that? Okay?
We ain't gonna make it past week 8 anyway. So.
Oh, that's true.
That's it.
So why discuss this?
Yeah, if they all hit 1,000 by week 7, then we can talk. Then they done something.
Yo, reason this the league I feel sentimentally I'm pulling for most. Maybe because I think the odds are going against it. But I really would like to see the NFL. I'm not hopeful. Yeah. And maybe that's why I'm sentimentally yo, please, come on, do the right thing so y'all don't shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I love it because the NFL is my safe haven. I get rejuvenated from, the NFL. If I get beat up all week, and of course, you love the fam or whatnot, but how I get my space back. Yeah. After I get my space back, the NFL gets me my space back. So,
and you got an extra favorite team to root for in the Cardinals.
Right, man. True.
True that. So hey, I'm really rooting for the NFL. Heavy.
Yeah, I hear you.
Wow. Like I just said, we shall see.
We shall see. It is what it is.
All right. Y'all ready for some trivia?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right.
Get it.
So, speaking of lists, we're going old school. So, speaking of dudes that stayed around too long and should have left maybe sooner, but some maybe who were great and should have stayed around a while. I'll say that. And in front of me, I have a list of regular season games played in the NFL. Guys who played the most games in their career. So, we're going to go old school. I have the list. You give me a name that's on the list, you remain in the game. If you miss it, your opponent has a chance to answer correctly to kick you out and win the game. However, the twist is, since we know there's a whole bunch of kickers and punters on this list, you only get one kicker and punter that you can name.
Okay.
So one kicker, one punter each. Therefore, we'd be here all day if we was just going a whole bunch of kickers and shit.
Right.
So, otherwise, you can give me any other player in the history of the league, or if you want to use your one kicker or your one punter, just let me know. I don't even know who won. Al, you was here on time. You can go first. All right. So, Al, who you want to start with? Do you want to use your kicker or your punter first?
So, let me ask you this. This is the top what list? Top 125?
This is all-time games played. This is the top. Let me look and see how. Top 100.
Okay. Top 100. I'll go with Tom Brady.
That is correct. Tom Brady is currently sixth with 285.
All right. Let me use my kicker, and I'm going to say Sebastian Janikowski.
Let me see where Janikowski is on this list.
Or is he not on there?
I don't know. If it's so, he's at the bottom somewhere. Let me see.
He played 20 years. Man, he got to be on there.
I don't know.
Just retired last year.
Damn, it's going to be the quickest. It's going to be a Mike Tyson victory.
Right. Yeah,
Mike Tyson, Michael Spinks.
I passed by his name. He is on there. He is 17th with 284. Sorry. He was right below Tom Brady, and I schemed right by him.
No way.
I had you on the ropes, but you came out.
Man.
Right.
All right, Al, who you got?
I'll go Brett Favre.
Yes, Brett Favre is ninth, tied for ninth on the list with 302.
Let me try. Oh boy, didn't Emmett play like 14 years, man? Give me Emmett, man. Let me Emmett, Jay.
Let's see, Emmett. Yes, Emmett Smith is. Emmett Smith does not make the top 100. He's tied for 122nd on the list.
Wow.
With 226 games.
Wow.
Well, this may be a pretty quick game. Al, one name.
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice Pilaf is 8th all time, and he's played the most games of any non-kicker or punter, 303 games.
Jerry Rice?
Yes.
I just didn't recall Jerry Rice playing that long. I mean, he played long, but not more than Emmett. I didn't see that.
Oh no, Jerry played 20 years.
I mean, Rice played 20 years.
Yeah, Jerry.
I mean, I don't know if it was that many, but he played a lot of
He played 20.
He was
20 years
close
exactly.
to 40 when he retired.
Yeah, Jerry.
So was Emmett.
No.
Emmett. I feel like he was probably in his mid-30s.
Let me see. Emmett played.
Dang, man.
Emmett played 15 years. But yeah, so Emmett played 15 years. Jerry played 20.
Okay.
Yeah. But Jerry had his last. Like Jerry was just good for so long. It seemed like he was young. Like I think Jerry had this crazy stat when people talk about Jerry Rice versus Randy Moss. Jerry had his last 100-yard game when he was 39 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Randy Moss had his last 100-yard game when he was 29 years old.
Wow. See, that's the other thing I remember about Jerry Rice. He was excellent until the end. While he had lost some of his speed and explosiveness, his technique and work ethic made him a very successful wide receiver, damn near to the end. So, yeah.
Right. Because he was in the inside with the Raiders, right?
Yeah, for some of it, I mean, because he was still catching 100 balls with the Raiders.
Wow.
Him and
Yeah.
Him and Tim Brown, they were still catching 100 yards. 100 balls a season.
So he was there with Gannon? He was there with Gannon?
Yeah, he went to the Super Bowl when they lost to the Bucs. He was there.
Jerry was on that team?
Yeah. So check this out. So, in 2001, it was when Jerry joined the Oakland Raiders, right?
His 17th season in the league.
17th season in the league. He had 83 catches for 1,139 yards and 9 touchdowns.
His 17th season in the league.
His next year, and that's in 15 games. In his 18th season, the next year, he had 92 catches for 1,211 yards and 7 touchdowns.
His 18th season in the league.
His 19th season in the league in 15 games, he had 63 catches for 869 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then the next year, his 20th season is when he got hurt. He only played in 6 games, and they released him. And he went and played the rest of the year for the Seahawks. And he still went and had 25 catches and 362 yards and 3 touchdowns for them at age 40.
Right. That's what's so crazy is that he was 40 when he had 92 catches because he was born in 1962.
Right. Yeah.
He was born in 1962. Right. I'm looking at it now.
Yes.
2002, he has 92 catches, 1,200 yards at the age of 40.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah.
That's why he is, to me, the GOAT of wide receivers and possibly the best player in the NFL I've ever seen.
Right.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. That just changed my entire perspective.
Yeah. Like it's NBA dudes who can't do that.
Right.
and honestly, he's a player that kind of as a teenager, really watching the NFL at the beginning of me watching it like consistently the way I do now, 15, 16, 17 years old, that's the kind of the beginning of his career. So I really got to see him dominate the NFL like his whole entire career and appreciate it like an NFL fan. He was one of the earliest of me like, yo, this dude is great.
Right.
Yeah, like his. Yeah. Like then you just look at it, and it's not just those stats, but take time and just go through and look at his stats in comparison to the dudes who are second, third, and look how far that gap is.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
And he did it with different quarterbacks.
Two
Hall of Famers. Right, 2 Hall of Famers. I was like, usually they were pretty good quarterbacks. A couple of them was the best, some of the best that did it.
Yeah.
But he wasn't no slouch. His to me, again, one of the best, if not the best, NFL players on my list.
Right. Yeah. So just go through. It's a few kickers at the top. So does anybody know who played the most? Who's appeared in the most NFL games? course, is a kicker. It's Morton Anderson, former Saints and Falcons great.
Blanco.
Y'all hear me? But yeah, man, this of course, this list is full of kickers, like I said. But anybody know the kicker who appeared in the most NFL games?
Ledger.
Morton Anderson.
Morton Anderson. Yeah, that bugger.
Saints guy.
So,
Saints and the Falcons, right?
Saints and Falcons, yeah. The next second on the list is Adam Vinatieri.
Adam V.
Okay.
But anybody know? So Jerry Rice has played the most of any position player in the NFL, followed by Brett Favre. Anybody know who's next?
Is AP on the list?
AP is not on the list.
Not that far. We talked about Bruce. I said I'll start to say Bruce.
Bruce Matthews is third.
Oh, Bruce Matthews.
Oh, you talking about Bruce Smith?
Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith. I don't know. Bruce Smith is 279. He's 21st on the list.
Who's next? Who's behind?
So Bruce Matthews, then Darryl Green. Then Tom Brady, then Jim Marshall.
Oh wow!
They're running the wrong way.
Yeah. Then Bruce Smith, then Clay Matthews.
Okay.
Then
Clay Matthews Sr.
Clay Matthews Jr. Clay Matthews Sr. was like an old school player. Clay Matthews Jr.
That guy's played that many. Wow.
Yeah. So Clay Matthews. It's 3 Clay Matthews that played in the league. The Clay Matthews that plays now, he's the third. Clay Matthews the third.
He's the junior.
Right. The granddaddy played in like the 50s. No, the one that plays now is the third.
Go ahead and button it up. Tell Jay to go ahead and button it up.
Right. Oh, man, y'all can't hear
Yeah. Go.
But, yeah, man. So, a lot of names we know. So, yeah, congrats, Al. You won. Give it to me, man. What's your parting shot?
Hey, man, have a good week. I'm going to keep it real brief and look forward to next week.
No doubt. Pooh, what you got for me?
Man, my first guy on the neighborhood, on the block, man, Carter, birthday Sunday, teenager, man. I just want to shout him out, man.
Nice.
Happy birthday, nephew.
No doubt.
All right. Yeah, man. I ain't got nothing crazy again. Shout out to Stephanie.
Oh, yeah.
For Stacy, I'm sorry for joining us.
I was about to say, who's that?
No, yeah. I'm thinking I'm thinking about like 4 names in my head. So shout out to Stacy and shout out to Lynn from Anything, Everything, and Nothing, whose birthday was yesterday. So shout out to Lynn. And shout out to Regular Scott. So I don't know if he wants to be shouting out your son's name all over the show, but his son turned 1 today. So shout out to your son, Regular Scott. Big ups to your family. So, but that's all we got. This has been episode 167 of the Defy Life Podcast. We'll talk to y'all next week. Until then, Defy Life.
Defy Life.
Defy Life.
Welcome to the Anything, Everything, and Nothing podcast with Lynn and Kim. Join us as we discuss the latest in everything from entertainment and current events to the craziness that is our real life.
Let's laugh, let's live, let's talk about it. New episode every Tuesday on the Defy Life Podcast Network. And remember, if you're not defying life, then what are you doing? Lynn and Kim.